everybody. This is Rolande Sumner, and I am the owner and founder of Butter Angels. Today, we're going to discuss things I should have done, 5 things I should have done before I started my business. But first, I'm going to start off with how I started my business. So in 2008, I was natural. I had been natural for maybe about a year by then. And I was trying out, I was reading articles and watching YouTube videos, and I was trying things in my kitchen on my hair, like olive oil, coconut oil, palm oil, stuff like that. Going to the beauty supply store and getting some shea butter and mixing that up with this and that. And um, I, I realized that my skin is dry. I already knew my skin was dry, but I had noticed that what was on the market wasn't really working, so I figured, why not try whatever I'm using on my hair on my body? Let's see how that's going to work. And it did, and it actually worked on my body more than it worked on my hair because I end up buying natural made products from other hair care makers for natural hair. And I continued to make my own skincare products. So I'm on the phone with my sister and we're talking. She's in Massachusetts, and she did the same thing. We had the same story, and we didn't know it. And so she's like, well, why don't we make a body butter business? And I was like, oh, that's cool. But I didn't really take it seriously because I didn't believe that I can run a business. I was serving at the time, and I didn't think my career was going to, end anytime soon. And I had a family. At the time, I was actually a single mom, and I just had way too many things going on. I was trying to finish my college degree, which I didn't finish until 2014. And so I just didn't think I can do it. I didn't have the money, I didn't have the time, all these excuses. So fast forward to 2015, actually 2014, and by this time I had already gotten way better at making skincare products and doing research and finding out different maker groups on Facebook and such. And I decided, okay, I'm going to make this happen. I knew I was going to get discharged within a year or so, um, or at least medically retire within a year or so. And I was like, I don't want to work for anybody else. So I didn't take it really seriously, but I did scratch out like a basic business plan. I wouldn't even call it business plan at this point. It was just like things I wanted to happen in my business. But I didn't really do a great deal of research. Like I did a little research, but not enough. And so, I discharged right before the discharge date. I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this business happen. And then I chickened out. And by this time, like a year had gone by. It was 2015. I hadn't really done much more about the business idea. And I chickened out and was like, I'm just going to work a regular job. And so that's what I did. I went back into corporate America, and it didn't pan out. I worked for a company for a couple of months and I got fired. Never been fired before. I've always generally excelled in what I did. Um, and this is the first time I've been told, like, you have to go. And so I was sitting at home, boohoo crying. And then one day I woke up and I wiped the snot and tears away, and I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I got a business license and all the legal documentation to make it an official business. EIN, LLC, all of that. And I came home, and naturally I didn't do this in a day, but like over the course of some weeks, and I told my husband, babe, I started a business, and he looked at me like I was bananas. I had told him that my sister and I, was thinking about it, and we had went over names and stuff like that, but he didn't think I was serious, and he didn't think I was just going to up and do it one day. He thought we was going to have more of a conversation. So I was like, no, this is going to be fine. He's like, it's going to cost a lot of money, and it's going to cost a lot of time. And, if you want to stay home and be retired, you can, but you can't do both. You can't run the business and, you know, with no other form of income coming in. Like, if you're going to do this, it's going to cost money and you're going to need to get a job. And I was like, no, I'm not going to get a job. And a year later, I ended up getting a full-time job because he was absolutely right. It costs money, and it was like a lot that I didn't consider. So I'm going to tell you the 5 things I should have done and you should do before you start your business. And if you don't want to write these things down, that's fine. You can go on my website. I'm posting a link where you can read the article and print it out or do whatever you want with it. And if you have other tips on what you should do before you start your business, post them below. Post your comments below and share with us what other tips you have. Okay? So the first one is I wasn't clear about what I wanted my life to be like. I just knew I wanted a business and I didn't want to work for the man anymore. And, you know, I wasn't clear. I didn't have a clear, drawn out vision of what my future would be like. Um, so, had I done that in the beginning, I think my business would be a little bit further along. Um, but I didn't, because I just didn't think about it. The reason I should have sat down and thought about, had a clear vision of what I wanted my life to be like ultimately, is because I need to build my business and everything around my life to meet that goal. And if it doesn't feed into the goal, the end result, then it doesn't need to exist. It doesn't need to happen. I don't need to waste my time on it. So the first year I did waste a lot of time doing a whole bunch of stuff because I just didn't have a big goal in mind. Um, I didn't have an open conversation with my husband about my business plans. I just did it. And that caused some friction for a while. It caused some friction until I went back to work. And before I went back to work, I finally did open up and say, this is why I want to have this business. And this is how much it's going to cost. And I do need to go back to work. And he was like, thank you for acknowledging my concerns. I didn't have a conversation. And had I had this conversation with my spouse and sat down with him and had a conversation, like a back and forth exchange of ideas, instead of me just telling him this is what I'm going to do, I would have known earlier what his concerns were and what his apprehensions were about me joining this business, doing this business venture. And I would have been able to shape my business and how I operated to not trigger his concerns and pushback. Regardless, you're an adult and you're going to do what you want. But when you're in a marriage, when you're in a relationship, you have to consider all of the stakeholders, and your spouse and your children are stakeholders in this massive plan, because running a business is a massive plan. And regardless of what you're gonna do, if you want to have a peaceful household, you have to include them in that plan. Particularly your spouse, because they're gonna be they're gonna have to endure you working while you're watching TV, or while you're spending family time, and while you're trying to figure out everything. And they're gonna have to endure the tears that you're gonna cry because your batch didn't turn out right, or something didn't happen right. They're gonna be there when you have joy, and when you celebrate that victory. You got to include them. And so I should have included him in my thought process of how I was going to do it in the beginning, and kept him in mind and my kids in mind, because it did affect their life. And I think things would have been easier that first year had I done that. The third thing is I did not do enough research. I was lazy. Had I done the research in the beginning, I would have taken the Vet to CEO course before I put pen to paper and spent that money to make this business legal. I would have found funding. You know, paying for your own business is expensive. It's expensive. It costs a lot of money. Um, and so I would have saved more money. I would have done a lot more research. As veterans, we have an abundance of resources out there that want to help us. Even if you are a military spouse, there are just nonprofit organizations out there who want to help you grow your business, develop your business, and make it strong from the first drop of ink on paper. Um, so I didn't do my research, and now I'm backtracking and I'm learning about these organizations. My business is like 17, 18 months in, and now I'm backtracking and I'm learning about some of the resources I could have used in the beginning. It's not too late. but it would have saved me some time and some headache and heartache and money. I may have been able to fund this venture without my own cash. So research is important. Once I determined that I wanted to do this business, I should have saved enough money to at least get me through the first couple of years. And though my business would have been started later on, at least, you know, I might have been able to not work a job and work the business solely had I saved more money, paid off more bills, um, if, you know, had I been more proactive about the financial part. I really just took it for granted and was like, okay, this is what we're going to do. So my advice is save money, save up some money, save up a rainy day fund, save up twice the amount of money that you think you're going to need. Save up enough money for you to live on because you might get fired from your job. You know, I don't want you to get fired from your job, but you might get fired from your job, and now you have to work on your business. You might decide like I can't do both. I can't work and work on my business, and now you need a little bit of money to live on, but you also need money to fund your business. You need to put it on paper. I didn't put it on paper. I didn't put everything on paper. I didn't put labels on paper and packaging on paper and shipping on paper and organizations that are really helping my business grow and membership fees. I didn't put any of that on paper. I didn't put education on paper. Books. I go through a ton of ebooks and audiobooks so that I can become a better person, a better businesswoman, so my business is stronger. Put all that on paper. Complete your business plan. I'm still working on my business plan. It's getting better every day, but it is something that I should have done before I started my business because having a well written plan, even if it is in theory, is better than not having a plan at all. And your business plan is a living, breathing document. It's going to change and it's going to change and grow and what have you. So you don't have to worry about making it like concrete. But at least if you put it on paper and you go through the SBA and the SBDC and whoever organization helps business owners develop business plans and grow, you will have a better idea of what your business is going to need and look like and what it's going to take to function. So, if you have any more tips on things that you should have done before you started your business, post it below. Um, like, share, and subscribe. There's more to come. And check out the article that I wrote on this. I have more articles about starting your business as a veteran and lessons I've learned. And I look forward to speaking to you guys again.